yeah, there are no guarantees for anybody any day of their life. And so let's make the most of whatever time we have.
Hi there, this is Esther Schorr with another edition of our Cancer Friends series. And today I feel very, very fortunate to have one of my dearest friends, cancer friends and friends in so many other ways, Shellie Oakley from Bellevue, Washington, who is a breast cancer survivor of many years. Shellie went through mastectomy, reconstruction, and a number of complications and additional things that happened to her. But she is one of the most stick to it, can do people that I know, an incredible outdoors woman, and has a partner who is equally has a love of outdoors and activities. And we want to talk today about her determination to return to the things that she loves, hiking and biking and kayaking and active grandparenting and oh, so many other things. So Shellie, thank you for being here and for being willing to have this conversation with me. So it's good to see you.
For asking me to do it.
Of course.
Good to talk to you.
I gave the 30,000 foot view of your cancer journey, but can you just take a minute or two and talk about like when you were diagnosed and then kind of the steps that happened up till now?
2008, January, I had gotten into the habit of going and doing a lot of diagnostic, my usual mammogram, et cetera, right at the beginning of the year. Started out, and because I have a family history of breast cancer, wanted to take care of it. Never thought, somehow I thought I was going to beat that bullet. And so it was a routine mammogram and ultrasound. And it was that moment of, the doctor like, well, I think maybe we should do a biopsy. And it went on from there. Luckily, it was discovered early. It was small. They framed it the kind of cancer you want to have if you're going to have breast cancer. So went on from there. And I did a lot. I called you and Andrew. Pretty early on. It was a hard weekend waiting, but once I was diagnosed, it was moving forward to, okay, what are the next steps? What do I need to do? I really wasn't liking the answer that I was getting at first of what the response would be, which was they couldn't do lumpectomy or anything else, that it had to be a mastectomy, even though it was very early and small. And I went and got 3 different opinions from 3 different hospital systems, because they each have their own way of doing things. And everybody gave me the same answer. So I was coming to terms with that, and had a little bit of time to prepare myself, had a mastectomy and reconstruction. And so I actually feel like I was very fortunate because I did not need chemo and I did not need radiation, that they could surgically feel like they safely did take care of it. And then drugs as well. So it was a series of surgeries that was my main treatment. And because of some problems, it turned into many more surgeries than I ever thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But I remained grateful that I was alive, that I was going to stay alive, and that could move on. But it's a major thing for your body, not just to have surgery, but to have it altered by something like a mastectomy.
So where are you now, Shellie? Just from the standpoint of treatment and just treatment and maintenance. And then we'll talk a little bit about all the things you love to do that hopefully some of them you're doing now.
So I did a lot of follow-up. I was, every year, but 2008, I'm now, what is that? 14 and a half years out. So I feel I have the awareness. I still go get my annual mammogram, ultrasound, but I think the biggest thing that still stays with me is it changes, for me, it changed a certain trust in one's body, and that I could feel fine, but there could be something else going on.
So how do you deal with that?
I am aware of it. I'm aware, I do the best I can to take as good care of myself as I can. I choose, since I like certain alternative stuff, I work also with a functional medicine doctor who, when I feel like there's something going on, they're looking at root causes, not just symptoms. And it's just something that I have that awareness. And in some ways it woke me up, because nothing changed. That reality existed before. I'm just more aware of it. And so it brings me back to that. Yeah, there are no guarantees for anybody, any day of their life.
Okay.
And so let's make the most of whatever time we have.
Okay. Well, that is a great attitude. And I've seen it because I know you. I've seen that that's the way you live your life now. So let's talk a little bit about the sort of incremental returning to the things that you're passionate about. Because obviously when you're recovering from surgery and all of that, some of that wasn't happening the way you like. But what are the things you're passionate about? And how did you get back to those things? How did that happen?
So the one thing I will say, while I was lying there waiting for the biopsy, I had just said yes to a new job that was going to be 60 hours a week and very stressful. And the way I decided to interpret this diagnosis was, yeah, that's my body telling me, because I was doing it interim. So I was already in the stress. It's like, you know what? I don't need to do that. And I chose not to. I mean, I hung in there until they found somebody. And then I took time off. So we're now summertime. I actually, and this was my dear husband encouraging me or being willing to do it. We had planned on doing something called Cycle Oregon, which is a week-long biking group trip supported. And we switched to a tandem, and really with no training and giving myself a lot of permission, because we took an extra bike. So if there was a day I didn't want to bike, he could still bike and I could do the sag wagon. In retrospect, Randy pulled me up so many of those mountains.
That's great.
But that was kind of like, I'm not going to stop living. And going ahead and doing that. And then I ended up having more surgery afterwards. So it was, that first year was an up and down. And then there was a pretty long period, because I had multiple surgeries, where what I was doing, I would go do things, but at a lower level.
So what were some of those things? Obviously biking. What were some of the other things? I know I mentioned at the beginning, but talk to me about how those came back into your life.
I mean, certainly always making sure we get out for walks and, just to keep my body moving. Once winter came, I think we probably did a little bit of cross-country skiing, just gentle, just flat, short. I am very grateful that I have a husband who is always willing to do it at whatever level I can do it at. He is hardcore. He could be doing, and he does go off with other people and do really hardcore stuff, but just to be able to be together, he's willing, you know. So when I started, like more recently, when I got down to downhill skiing, it's like, okay, you only want to go for an hour? We drive almost an hour, go for an hour, come home, no problem. So being able to listen to my body and listen to my mind as well, that's, you know, there's a certain fear factor of getting back into downhill skiing at my age, that taking things slow, but doing it, like, doing something.
Okay, so I know you love to travel, and I know that there is a member of your family named Pokey. Can you talk a little bit about, that's an adaptation of travel in and of itself?
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about that and how that fits in with the travel that you love to do?
That's a whole other part of the story. But Pokey, we decided that we wanted to be able to go at our own pace, to be off grid some of the time. So Randy, we were looking and looking, he bought a very old, fairly funky,
Fairly
beloved RV, fairly funky. It's very funky. It turned into a project, so we didn't get off on the road nearly as quickly as we thought we were going to. A lot of months were spent with him working on it and me working on being patient. And then we took off and took our time going down the coast. And so this is a 28-foot, 92 RV, 28 feet. So big, but not crazy big. And we had put in solar, and then we went into Baja. And one of my things was going down, bucket list type thing of there's bays in Baja where in the late winter, spring, the whales are there, they give birth, they do the initial raising of the young ones before they start migrating back. And there's something about these bays that over time they have learned, they're curious about people. And it's very well regulated and restricted, but you can go out in these little boats and the whales come up to the boat and want to be touched. It is an incredible experience. One of my things in terms of embracing life has been always looking for awe, a sense of awe in the world. And that can be a flower in somebody's front yard that you really look in the detail of that. Touching these whales was definitely awe.
I can definitely understand.
Awesome. So that was a big highlight. And then we just spent time in Baja and then very slowly worked our way back when the RV wasn't working well, but that's a whole other story.
Having Pokey, the RV, clearly let you do travel.
Yes.
Very much on your own terms, at your own pace, with the partner you love.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cool adaptation of, I got to get on a plane and I got to do the hotel thing. And what am I going to eat? And where am I going to sleep? And so it's just cool. It's very cool.
It was. And we found that this is maybe not true for everybody, but we actually did really well together in, is it 150 square feet?
A confined space. Yeah.
No, you can't take very much with you. So it takes a lot of everyday life stress issues that can come up, who's doing what, who's taking care of what, et cetera, and just go out on the road and take it as it comes and meet people and be in beautiful places and get, go off the grid to places where you can't find places to stay. And yeah, it was wonderful.
Okay, so let's pivot for a second. I know, because I know you, that there is another great love and passion in your life, other than Randy, of course, your kids and your grandchildren.
Yes.
So can you just talk a little bit about how that has, filled a very big part of your being active now as an amazing survivor and thriver? Just talk about that a little.
It is. I mean, I feel such gratitude to be able to be close and have these relationships to the point. So we have 3 grandchildren. We have 3 children, and now we have 3 grandchildren from our oldest son and his wife. They had a little boy. And then when he was about a year old, they discovered they were having twins, 19 months between them. And we chose, and for me, it was through actually a spiritual process. If you had a year to live, what choices would you make in your life? And even though at that point I did have a job that I liked a lot, I retired from that and we moved to New York City, to Harlem. Never a place that we anticipated or desired to live, but they needed help. We wanted to be close. We wanted to have that kind of relationship with all of them. And so we lived there for 2 years and helping take care of these 3 babies. So, and then even after we came back, we were every 6 or 8 weeks, we would fly back to give them a break. It's a lot.
And now you're still involved.
We are super involved because the silver lining of the pandemic for us was they moved here to Bellevue. And so they live less than a mile from us. We see them regularly. We are able to not only help schlep and drive and, help with whatever is needed, but to play with them, to get them. The beautiful thing about Washington is the easy access to the outdoors. I mean, I have woods to hike in 1.5 miles from my house, and a lake, about the same distance to put a kayak in. I can take them out kayaking, and which I do, and hiking, we call it walks. They're New York City kids. They haven't fully embraced the hiking thing, but
they'll get there.
Bicycling. We did a bicycle camping trip with Micah one of the years before they had actually even moved here, and toured with him, went over to one of the islands. And it is, having it with grandchildren. We did stuff with our kids, but it's a different joy with grandkids. So we're very involved. We're happy to be very involved, and really happy that we get to share what we love with them.
And my guess is that you and Randy are going to be the grandparents that those grandchildren will actually still talk to when they're teenagers.
We hope so. we hope so. We're here, and hopefully we haven't become too much associated with the day-to-day parenting, but so far there are those moments to be able to be that extra adult and take them up on a lap and just listen and talk, and it's pretty precious. Yeah. It's pretty precious.
No doubt. So what advice would you give to other patients, their care partners, who are trying to recapture their own zest for life, their own passions, after what is, fortunately, as you said, for you was up and down, but it didn't destroy your spirit. You figured out how to move on and do the things you love. So how would you advise people who are just starting on that journey of trying to get back to whatever it is that they love?
I think there's that level of acceptance. First, you have to really go through with what is, and that this is the journey you're on, and it's not what you hoped for or expected. And to go through it, and when ready, to be willing to take it slow. And maybe it's not exactly how you did it before. Maybe it's even better to know what your passions are. Maybe some of that has changed. Maybe what you thought you enjoyed doing, not so much anymore. And something else has taken its place. In general, kindness to oneself in going back and doing things, and just that little reminder of gratitude. Okay, today, what do we want to make today be? And some days it won't be a lot, and that's okay too. I think that's a really important one.
Shellie, thank you so much for sharing some of a story that I knew, but things that even as good friends as we have been over the years, I didn't know. But I really appreciate you sharing this story, not just with me, but with our other friends who are going to be hopefully listening and appreciating your story. So for those of you who are listening in, I hope that the stories that Andrew and I tell, and that our friends like Shellie tell, are helpful to you in navigating your own journey. And we'll look forward to having you join us for other stories with our cancer friends.